Good morning, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm doing a request, and I have a discussion board on my community tab where you guys can go ahead and post what requests you have. This one got a lot of upvotes. It was for a no unit Skellige. Now I wanted to revert back to the Reckless Flurry because I felt like there'd be a lot of value in, let's say, the Milva matchups and other matchups where we can get some randomized pings here to get behind defenders and whatnot. So it made a lot of sense in that case, and we'll go through the card list here. We have Fukusha that can bring back any Skellige unit with a provision cost of 10 or less. So realistically, we're going to be looking for either Morkvarg, we're going to be looking for Coral to get our Thins back. We can do a double Junid, or if we're playing into a Swarm deck like a Raka Swarm, or we have, let's say, what's becoming very popular with the Syndicate Fire Swarm, we have Gerd that's going to be teched in for those reasons there, plays for strong base power as well. So I really like those reasons to bring back Fukusha. If we want to, though, we can always dip into a Bronze, which would be one of the Bear Witchers here. You'll see there's not really a lot of units in the Bronze end. We don't have a lot of proactivity, so I did include a second version with a couple more units if you guys aren't very comfortable playing one with 13. But when the request says low or no unit, I'm going to do that. So I have both. I played 7 games with it and we won 6. I lost the one game simply because I was playing into Battle Trance and I missed my Tall Punish, so I just rage quit that one. But all in all, it's doing very good. I think that's about an 86% win rate if I'm not mistaken based on what I played. So we've got 2 Tall Punishes here, Purifies, Self Reset, or, you know, obviously Offensive Reset. This is really good into the Skellige Onslaught matchup right now because they have Rupture, they have lots of damage. It's really good into Bounties. It's really good into Nilfgaard getting around the Defender because you're also resetting the base power. There's a lot of really good matchups for Axie, and I'm surprised more people aren't playing it. I believe more than one Tall Punish is pretty warranted. It's very needed in this meta right now. Quen for consistency. Obviously, you've seen the play in the past where you could put Trial of Grasses on the Quen for additional points, but we can also use it offensively for removal of a unit that's 6 power or less. So there's a little bit of versatility there. Quen's going to be pulling into either one of the Bear Witchers, Gerd, Junid, or Axie. So there's more options in this than past versions that I've seen, so we can basically guarantee that it's going to be playing for something, and we're never going to have an opportunity where it's just like sitting for 2 points, which would be really bad. This card package is still very strong, even with the Coral change provisions. So we have Coral in here, we have Burna in here, and we have the Tursic Skirmishers, which just makes a lot of sense. Morkvarg as well for the Thin. I have Delirium here as another tech into the Saskia matchup because I don't want to go ahead and crank my full leader every time we run into Saskia. So it's really nice to be able to throw this on the back row and maybe use 1 leader charge and take out both units on the back row instead of just the one. Normal or previous versions would have run maybe Giga Scorpion instead, but I felt like the Delirium just made sense for provisions here. And of course, a couple bombs. I did not want to put Madoc in the deck because I just felt like Madoc would have got answered. There's a lot of Onslaught going around, a lot of random teched in Banished Bombs, Northern Winds going around, so I just felt like Madoc wasn't really the best player, the play that I wanted to have as far as the thinning, because I felt like we had it from other cards here. If you're really big on the Madoc, you could sub the Quen, but I think Quen's going to play for more points because the shield that it gives off with the potential that it has with the Bear Witcher. So that's why I opted for that. We wanted to get more points there, and Megascope target's going to be hitting the Bear Witchers and whatever comes off the Hiron Kadoosh, which could be, which could be a Bear Witcher, or in some events, I'll actually opt for maybe the Quartermaster if I need some more proactivity. Now, the other version that I added, or am going to include in the description, is going to have no Northern Winds, and instead I'm just putting back in the Raging Bears. So that way we have, if I can find it during while talking about it here, these guys. So if we put these back in here, we have something a little bit more proactive to play if we're on blue coin. Otherwise, you could just use Kadoosh, or you could just play Coral or something like that, and you lose 2 points there, but it's not the end of the world. I thought it was just fine the way it is, but I like playing with like a lot of damage cards. I like playing with little units, so I was very comfortable playing this card. I find there's less units and less opportunity for the opponent to mess around with what we're doing when we have 13 units instead of 15. However, it's up to you what you want to do in there. But let's get into the games here. I have 6 games that I'm going to be showing you guys today with commentary, and we'll give you the play-by-play. Let's go. All right, and for the first game, we have either some kind of Kolgrim or some kind of Mill. We'll know pretty quickly. I'm thinking it's mill. In this case, I'm trying to decide if I want to have a lot of thinning cards. So I'm tucking it back because Coral's still good for points. Burn is still okay for points. We get one thin. We could take a small thin. Again, if they're not mill, okay, they're mill, right? But at least now we have something that we could discard if we want to get some tempo. Because with mill, I don't think it matters too much if we do discards and we do a bit of thins, as long as we have a 2-0 hand. And right now, we have a really good 2-0 hand. We have a lot of golds. We know that their mills aren't going to be too great regardless. They're going to be getting a lot of bombs, gutting slashes, things like that. But they're not going to be able to put out as many points as us here, so winning on even is probably going to be one of the better ideas. And Gerd coming out is actually not bad here either. I know that they like to go and renew that often, so I'm thinking that taking the heat wave on that's actually not bad.
Here's our chance.
And we could probably just go ahead and bomb that. 12-0's. It's going to be obviously a little bit more difficult for them. They're going to need to pull in the snowdrop and do the whole leader thing round 1.
A fine vintage it would have made.
You know, there is consideration to Fuchsia in round 1. Get some more value off the discards. We can't play Bear Witcher here. We could play Quen. It's not the best Quen either. I don't mind Fuchsia if it means we win on even. And I don't necessarily want to click that either, just because I feel like maybe we don't need to take that discard just yet.
Enough! Let us finish this. Notice! All roads lead to Nilfgaard.
I don't think we're going to be getting a much better Morkvarg than that, to be fair. But we can also consider just using our Quen into an Axie. Just because we have Morkvarg in hand, it's kind of comfortable for later rounds. Whereas Axie could get milled. And Quen could actually play for nothing if we're not careful. So taking that's actually pretty good. It sort of puts them in a spot where even if they decide to go ahead and play down, I don't think they're going to have it. Yeah, so they just go ahead and pass here. We have 10 cards in deck, so we can even afford to do a 1 or 2 thin there and be fine. Obviously, there's only a couple more cards that we want to pull. I'm looking at the possibility of keeping the Megascope for Bear Witcher, but I think 2 Megascopes isn't very good. I want to burn it here before they play, so we have the opportunity to fix the hand a little bit. And consideration to put one of the Megascopes back. That's getting a little greedy, however we do have location as well. So their fishing for Cantarella is not going to be too great for them here, because they're either going to pull something for 4 points or Bear Witcher for 5 with no damage because of the adrenaline. So definitely something to consider here. I might actually take Cantarella out just because we want to make them work for those mills. We still want to look for a pass if we need one. And obviously be able to pull in 3 cards. So we're getting to that point where it's a little bit tricky, right? We have 4 left in deck, now 3.
We dance, for young is the night.
So they mill one more time and they basically get that card back nicely. So we got to be careful. I actually don't mind maybe a Megascope here, just because I don't really want to kill the meta. It's not really doing much. And at least that way, one of the pings can go off of the quartermaster. Arguably both for more heal value, right? We'll just bomb that. It's clean 4. I don't really think we're going to get many engines or anything like that in this matchup, so it's fine.
See what happens. Defeat them with hunger, crush them with thirst.
That's a little bit unfortunate, though, not gonna lie. There is consideration. Yeah, we can Bear Witcher and just ping something down. I'm pinging down, I think, the meta in this case because I want to have a better Junid if possible. Now, we know they play Tibor if they're running Mill more than often, so that'll be probably what we want to reserve the Junid for. Unless we get something else, you know, good shortly. I don't mind like a 5 even. Like if I can take Usurper, that's not too bad. Now it's 4. Still 10 points though.
Easy there, big fella. Easy. And now, on to the final act.
So I guess they're playing that maybe to find a snowdrop or to prevent us from getting good pings to take out their card. But either way, we can just take that out with the Gutting Slash.
You'll never get my rhymes out of your heads.
I remember this play here. I wanted to see if I'd be able to just like get extremely lucky off this and not have to really Morkvarg yet. But at this point, I was glad that it wasn't hitting the snowdrop because at least we get some value on it. And they just pull out an 8. It's not going to be enough regardless. We play this for just even points. We'll be fine. And that's the problem with Mill. So even if it hit perfectly, it wasn't enough. That wasn't a too bad game. It was the first game of the day. We're going to be getting into more serious matchups going forward. Next off, we have Death Wish. I think I actually have 2 Death Wish matchups today. So I don't have my discards, so I want to go ahead and tuck one of those because I don't like playing them from hand. Under no circumstance usually will I do that unless it's like the last card of the game and you play it to win. But at least we get the 1 here, and hopefully if we're lucky we pull into Berna, and that's great. Now with the second deck in the description, you'd be able to play maybe like a Raging Bearer in this event. However, in this circumstance, we just have to put down Coral. It's one of the disadvantages, I guess, of running the minimum units. However, it doesn't make a huge difference because we do get a lot of points off this big play here with the discards. And we can just go take that next discard here with our leader and actually get some value from it. But because the Coral's stuck, and I know that they can proc the Death Wish on that a couple times, I just want to use a Banish Bomb and get rid of the Foglet. And I've been finding that the Northern Wind's been like actually pretty good. It's been playing for its provisions lately, or at least in these games. My sister got me some aged reserve coffee. It's like some seasonal, every so often they'll come out with it at Starbucks. But it slaps. It's like 8 p.m. right now and I'm just having it anyways. Today I'm doing the games a night before. So I started off with a good morning because I figured by the time you saw it would be morning, but gotta catch up on things. And if you guys have any more deck ideas, of course, drop a comment. I'd be happy to fulfill those over the next week. I got a couple ideas of my own, but I wouldn't mind doing a couple of requests too. So here, I'm just looking, okay. What can we play that's proactive? They're not giving us much, right? Gerd's probably the best thing to just throw down here for points. There might be better use for Junid, that's why. And Bear Witcher's not really good off of that without the adrenaline effect, right? No respect for Slizzard, because I have good tall punish options in hand. So I actually don't mind that too much. If they go tall with it, it gives more value to maybe the Axie, Morkvarg, etc. This is consideration to pass right here. I'm thinking, okay, one really big play plus leader, or 2 plays. Maroon is, yeah, that's good, you know? And that's not enough yet. So they would have to go in again for sure. Arguably 2 cards. Riders isn't enough. So they have to, I guess, just throw a leader charge on something or go down to 3. Either way, I'm very happy with that because them using a leader charge here makes it such a greater win potential for us. The fact that we have our full leader intact too. I think that was a good pass. We had a little bit of an awkward play having to go Gwent into Gerd, but we got our thinning, and that's going to help us really pull into some of our good cards. Our hand's already very good, so if they get a crazy idea and decide to bleed, we have everything for it. In round 3, I think we'll pull into pretty much everything we need. I want a unit for a dry pass here. I don't love taking Bear Witcher, but it's fine. And I'm just trying to weigh out how many cards do we actually want to destroy, because there's going to be a lot of Death Wish cards. I only really want to target the consume payoff cards. So I wanted to minimize maybe the amount of bombs and gutting slashes and stuff like that we have in hand. They're going for it. 2 cards down, leader charge down, doesn't matter, right? So I think we have to go ahead and heat wave that. Have to put some respect on that for sure, because I know they don't have many consumes left. I'm hoping that I have the opportunity here to try and remove the Banshee, but we'll see. Goliath. So I don't know if they're trying to mill me or just make a bunch of Goliaths. I'm just looking at what it would pull, and I like what I saw. Really want to take out the Banshee 100%. Now that's actually incredibly frustrating too, right? But 3 cards behind, I just know if I can keep this card difference, there's no way they're gonna win. So I'm willing to exchange, you know, something a little bit expensive here and there, even a leader charge in this event, just so that we can keep those 2 card advantage. I think it's really important. And I feel like at this point in the game, once the opponent puts himself in this position, they have to either forfeit, like pretty much most of the time, or just like really crank it to try to get us to go all in. And then it's basically a matter of who top decks better at that point. Would have been nice to have the Junid here, but that's fine. You can just go off the armor. Pretty good. It doesn't get us ahead, it actually ties us. So again, I'm just gonna go ahead and use that. Like I said, I value the card advantage more than I value the leader here. That's not good. Now, I was gonna Bear Witcher, but then if they play, then I have a worse Morkvarg. So I felt like, okay, we just Morkvarg here because it's very tall. And then it pretty much pushes them into accepting the fact that they're, 2 cards down. Otherwise, they would just be 3 cards down and still lose the round. So this makes it confirmed. We get out of the round. I believe location is going to be carryover in this case. Now, we need some proactive plays. Obviously, discards would be great. We have a pretty good chance at pulling into 1, but I want to see it in hand. That would be ideal, just so we know we've got it. And looks good.
We stand before the Queen of Skellige.
So either in this case, Gutting, Dimeridian, or Megascope. Kind of the ones I'm, contemplating between. I think that's fine. Bigger potential on Gutting Slash due to the fact that the Bloodthirst effect does give it a ceiling of 6. So that's something to consider. And Delirium just cleans up here nice. Leader doesn't matter. Moving on to the third game. This one's going to be one of the harder games of the day. We have Onslaught. And as the meta sort of shapes itself, I believe that Onslaught's one of the more meta decks for sure, depending on the version you have. We want discard cards, but we're drawing all golds. And we're on blue coin. This is not good. Take out Axie here. I don't think they're going to round 1 Turg V, to be honest. They might. But hopefully we get some discards here. Perfect. And I think we played a 7 or 6 and leave, honestly. Perfect scenario, they put down a 4, we kill the 4, and then we basically take our leader, or our stratagem rather, and we pull into another discard. That'd be great. In this case though, I'm going to play the stratagem first, I believe. Just see if we can get a nice little ping off there, right? Put it down to 3, maybe just bomb it out at the end. I take Northern Wind instead of a Gutting Slash here because that's generally one of the cards that they're going to want to bring back if they're running Fuchsia or Herald or both. So, that carryover is actually pretty big. Choking. Whew. It's choking on my coffee. Sorry about that, guys. Man, that made my eye water. Jeez. So, come on. I'm about to cough again. So, before they creep ahead of us here, it wouldn't be a bad time to look for a pass. I think Gerd in this situation is pretty good because I don't think they swarm all that much with this deck. So putting out Gerd is just fine. It gives us a pretty good lead. We can look for a pass. I know once the discards are out, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to get their points quickly. So we might be able to get them to play down maybe a card or two. and kind of force a longer round, which I don't mind. That's also something you'll see them bring back, and I've let them live, and I've learned my lesson. That takes a heat wave in this matchup. I used to think Herald was bad, but Crack on Crate just gets nuts. Like, if you let that sit for a long round, you're in trouble. Now 20 points is kind of awkward, because I know a lot of their points, or a lot of their plays, are like 6-point plays. So I want to see if we can get maybe 2 cards here, or a card and a leader. I just felt like if we're going to get a good spot, it's now. And sure enough, leader comes down right away, which tells me maybe it's a gutting slash or that even. So we got a gold, mid-range gold, 6 provision, and 1 leader charge. That was a good pass, in my opinion. Obviously, Adrenaline on the Bear Witcher was coming up. That would have been a nice play, but I felt like it was only a matter of time before they passed, and I kind of wanted to have some sort of advantage going into the rest of the game. Consideration here to drop a Bear Witcher or the Axie. I don't think the Axie gets as much value in this matchup, but we have a way to get it. Sorry, I do think Axie gets value, but for the different reason, right? On the Purify later on, I think we can just pull into it versus just having it in hand, at least right now. It also prevents the brick into round 3 because we got 2 Witchers in deck.
Your descendants, my beloved, sacrifices for Melusi, one and all.
It's generally just the Mega Scope here. Why they went and took a bleed, I don't know. I guess they figured without Crack on Crate and the Raider, it wasn't really, like, as favorable for them maybe in a long round, so they wanted to see if they can get some of our golds out in exchange, but I'm pretty comfortable here with this situation. I'm looking at, okay, we could take out Coral right away, but they played Burna, so, I mean, Junit is actually very good. 12 point, I'm happy with that. It puts us ahead here, defends the card. We don't have to go use leader or anything like that. We still have options to take out Coral anyways if we feel like it's necessary. That's actually probably a better glasses. We're playing about 4 more units, right? Well, 2 off the Quen, off the location, Mork Varg, Bear Witcher. So, yeah, the boat gets some value there. And I don't like, obviously, I prefer best case scenario, win round 1, pass round 2, play round 3, so we're responding to what they do. But again, location in a situation like this isn't all bad. And you hate to see it, but we missed 2 of our discards this game, but we still pulled pretty well the cards that we needed to win the game. So that's not all bad. Quen doesn't pull into a Bear Witcher here. Quen gets the Axie. Again, that's fine. At least we have access to it. The card advantage is really going to make the difference here, and the leader advantage. I'm trying to decide here if Quartermaster's better than the Adept. I think it is, regardless. It has a higher ceiling.
You ought to see the other beast.
And I'm thinking, okay, if they're going to remove this, they're going to use a Gutting Slash and maybe a Leader Charge or something to that effect, so it wasn't all bad. Clean Bomb. I don't know, guys. Like, the Raging Bear thing's cool and all, but these bombs are actually kind of clutching it a little bit, so it's a debate. Another one.
Gods are blowing fair winds today.
I think that's worth it. We know they have lots of armor carryover from their leader. The passive effect. And we got good multiple here, like multiple megascope targets. Bear Witcher is probably best. Quartermaster is also an option. Oh, really? That would have been a nice, like, nice leader right there. Don't you agree?
Why don't train on the cone? I hate it.
Would have been a really good leader. On our 3, the Quartermaster, right? It would have actually played for lots of value. I'm not complaining though, you know? So at least we're fortunate enough that Bran didn't get any additional value here. I'm hitting the 4 because I want to get rid of that engine with a leader ping, and surely we do. Now, that's not really a big threat just sitting there at 6 points, and I don't think they're going to really have something to boost it, so there's not really a reason to go and to remove it. I go ahead and click there because I want to make sure that Megascope works, and there's nothing that's going to prevent it from working. So I just want to be absolutely certain here, because I think that if we lose our copies, we could lose the game. And that was close. It's close to losing 1 copy. Crazy value here. If we have to do a self-axie, like, which is probably going to be the case here, if that sticks, we get a 7-point reset. Now, Morgvarg's going to be underwhelming for sure. I held on to Morgvarg thinking that maybe Bran would get some value, but in this case, not really. Take the armor off, because, you know.
What are you gonna do?
Why not? Yeah, and this one, it wasn't as close as it looked. Like, I'm just showing you guys here with the leader charges. We got a pretty significant lead. Pretty comfortable. I don't think the bleed was the best play in that case, but again, we came out with the win. Moving on to one that you guys are probably very curious about. This is going to be a Guerilla Tactics matchup. You guessed it. It's going to be the whole Saskia, Milva, Maddock, traps type thing. And we don't have a lot of proactivity. However, you know, we can make fairly awkward situations for them while still generating some points. So it's actually pretty cool. I've got 1 discard with the Morgvarg. I have a dead Megascope. But we are on red, so that's a good start. And I missed my Delirium, which is kind of bad here.
The best feathers are from hens.
What I don't like about the lamp is that it's going to make our leader pings a lot less accurate. And there's not really much we could do about that either.
I suppose. And the end.
So we do see Maddock. They're going to obviously take that on the coral, right? Yeah. I want to get rid of Maddock ASAP. We still have space and time to do that. They haven't really committed a lot of points. There's Saskia. Now, I don't want to be stuck in the spot where they win round 1 and they have complete control of the game. So I'm actually going to crank it here, guys. And I believe that it's probably the best choice, because if we're playing into a traps round and we lose round 1, then we don't even really get a leader anyways, right? So keep that in mind. I'd rather have some points than no points. Sure enough, we do snipe it. Exactly what we're looking for here. Gerd could clean up the back row.
Slaughter them to a man.
It's pretty good Gerd. Pretty good Junid though. It's probably the best one we're gonna get, right? You're actually getting 4 points of removal. Just looking at the adrenaline. It's been a while since I played Gerd. We got time. This is the Gerd turn. Puts us ahead. And it gets rid of the movement engine, so if they're going to be playing more Cat Witchers or Matrons or whatever have you, we're good. See, I don't know what that is. I know I have a dead Megascope. So we could bin it. Because if it's a Serpent Trap, we could actually really do a number on ourselves here, so... We'll find out shortly if it is. Crushing's fine.
Sacrifices must be made on both sides.
As long as they don't hit the 1, I'm happy.
More for you.
Didn't keep gutting there because I don't think anything's going over 4, and plus with the bleed the rain there, it's gonna eliminate them anyway, so it's only Bloodthirst 1. There's a really good chance of that. Heat wave on a 6. That's good. Like, that helps us out quite a bit here. Fortunately, we can just go play a bomb. We got a clear board here. And to be fair, Eldain was actually the big play that I was afraid of. So seeing the Eldain was enough for me to say, alright, may we pass here and we try and defend. Because I know if they play traps now, they don't have the points. Which really helps. Saskia's out, Heatwave's out, Eldain's out, a few traps are out. Wow. Units would be cool, you know? Like actual cards. There we go. On a pass, we're gonna have to play the Tursic Skirmisher from hand. Just throw it on range because the salt. I would have rather discarded that, but it's fine. Just looking at what I'd like to draw into, right? We want Burna, we want location. Megascope's actually not a bad card into traps either, because it doesn't spring any. It's not a special. It's not a like a unit we're putting out. It's a artifact, right? Kind of just, I mean, it'll trigger like a pitfall, but it's 4 provision, so it's actually really good. Bear Witcher could probably be pulled from deck. I think that's fine. And the Axie here works well defensively.
So be it.
Nice. Okay, so things are starting to look our way here. Now we just have to avoid the bad traps. Got 2 of the Witchers in deck. Probably Trial or Delirium. Probably Delirium, because we can actually use Trial defensively if we find the right spot to do it. And I'm going to see if I can avoid Serpent Trap here. I'm feeling pretty daring. Heatwave every time, otherwise we take a bunch of damage next turn. So I was gonna play that, but I took it back. I decided here I want to go in Quen for a Bear Witcher and get the trial down ASAP, thinking that maybe they haven't played a Serpent yet. Maybe that's incinerating. So I'm trying to race the clock here. And the fact that it didn't spring is a little bit concerning to me, but it could be crushing as well.
I trust no one. Never have.
Really, I should have thrown that card away. Yeah, if I'm doing that again, we know it didn't spring when we played our units. We should have just threw that card away. That's probably going to be another pitfall. But both of our cards are 10 provisions. One has armor though. Well, they both have armor. So technically we could have... The damage is done. We put down the Axii last is probably the best play. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And then here, just again, we did the same thing in the Skellige matchup. Reset that Bear Witcher and win the game, right? 15-1. They used the Eldane play, so it's not available to them. So we just get the forfeit there. That's pretty good. Didn't go 100% the plan, but we managed to make it happen. Now, let's give a big shout out to the opponent here in the comments, guys. Got a little Harmony deck going on. You know, I did a Harmony deck about a month ago. If you guys haven't seen, it was a lot of fun. I'm thinking about revisiting that soon. I know some of you guys were requesting that as well. I just don't like to revisit the same ideas like right away, but soon. I'm thinking about it. It'll be different enough from the last one I did so that it feels fresh. When I see the poison stratagem, I'm very familiar with that. I used to play a lot of Harmony back in the day when Mystic Echo was the thing, the leader ability, and I ran a hefty poison package. So I'm just expecting that if we play units, then they're going to just give them poison, and it's going to be unfortunate for us. So I'm just kind of assessing the situation and seeing what sort of cards they're playing and maybe trying to predict what they have in their deck. But at this point here, I'm just aiming for engines if possible, right? We got rid of 2 technically engine cards. Let's see if we can get a good ping here. Nice. Problem is we know that Coral's probably going to get poisoned out. When they switched it from poison a random unit to poison a unit, it just got very strong, that stratagem there, so... Now, no Bloodthirst, but I'm thinking about, okay... Why don't we just take this here, break the shield, have more to work with. If they don't play something that triggers Harmony, we have a pretty good removal here on the Treant, right? Because that has a Harmony tag as well. I used to think that card was so OP. 7 provision. And I'm like, if you put it on melee, it gets a shield. Yeah, okay. I'm seeing all this magic going on, and I'm like, alright, like, we can't compete. There's just too much. You know, Fav into Call, into Simlas, into double Bountifuls, proc and Harmony, getting multiple units out there, another Harmony engine here. 26-9, we can't do it in 1. I can't do it in 2. So I don't think that a bluff is appropriate here. I'm just showing you guys like the rationale. Like we spent less in this situation, I think, than what they did. Right? They poisoned out the Coral, and we had a Gerd played. It wasn't too bad. I don't like 2 Bear Witchers in hand because I find it gets a little bit awkward because the adrenaline. We don't want to play them for 5 points. So I always look to tuck back one of them. Also, you know, just so that we have everything for round 3 too, right? Don't want to play them trading down and just not have them later. They're really good cards. Everyone wants to bleed today. Respect, though. So it's tough for me to want to heat wave that, because if we heat wave it and they pass, well, they just pass. But sure enough, we get finessed. I wasn't expecting that. I should have expected it. And the big carry over here too. We just gotta make the points now. Now I know why they bled us. Just looking at that, got the full 4, didn't it? And I'm weighing out all the options here. I'm thinking, okay, maybe we get a good unit here, right? That's not bad. That's probably the best it'll get. Because if I heat waved the... Except I have to use one just to get ahead here, which kind of sucks. But if I heat waved the 8, then it still wouldn't have been like enough with heat wave 8, 2 liters. Like it just would have put us at 0 points as well. One thing I think that Skellige does really well is defend the bleed, though. You've seen, we don't always take round 1, and that's not even too bad, you know. We find a way to come back from it. Oh wow. Okay, Delirium's really good, because if they somehow find a way to move that back to the back row, they get a shield on something, plus the Harmony engine off the beast, so that's really good. Catwitcher's really good. Gutting slash trade up here. I don't know why I had so long to think about that. Sure. It was a long Christmas day, guys. My family didn't really get together like a lot of us, but I was really happy that I got to see my mom, my grandma, sister, brother-in-law, you know. That was good enough for me. Hopefully you guys had a good day as well. But just the whole, like, getting up early. It was freezing rain, too. Like, it was crazy slippery outside today. So it's like driving slow, you know, whole traffic thing. By the time I got home, after all the sugar and stuff, too, holy crap. I wanted to take a nap.
We shall do it my way.
Good discards here. Removal's good. Megascope could go... Yeah, I think it's Megascope. I'm just showing you guys, like, I have 2 of them. You know, Megascope makes one, but I'd rather just take them for damage if we have to choose between that. So much poison. So much. I think that actually warrants a Purify. Just because it's possible they have a pair. So a little move we could do here is Purify the 1, the burn on the back. Use the leader on the 3 because that's an engine. Kind of shut it down and see what they could do at this point. Saskia is pretty nice. It's the different Saskia for once. The only thing I don't like about Saskia into this type of deck is that she pulls out like another type with her. And then when you're playing it to proc Harmony later, it doesn't work because it's already on the board. You see what I mean? So now if they play an elf, it's kind of like, alright. Actually, I didn't even realize there's a Harmony tag on Saskia.
Not for me.
I'm intrigued. It's been that long since I played it. Rebuke's fine. We have good removal options here. I know that if I can get Bloodthirst 2, we can remove one of those 5s that will convert to a 6 next turn, so that's fine. And then maybe just Heat Wave the other one, and then we have a Morkvarg if they pull some maneuver after. Yeah, 6 is really good here, so we'll go ahead and take that while we can. And I wasn't expecting the bleeding to go on the Axie. Obviously, they just did that to spite me. I wasn't even expecting that card. Not much we could do about the bleeding there. I think we honestly take the Heat Wave on the 7, because if they play some surprise tall unit, we have a Morkvarg for it. And that works out, actually, because they would have boosted the Dryad. We took away one of those options. And we just take it by 1 point. Actually, very interesting deck by the opponent there. It was a closer game than I would have liked to have, but we managed to pull the win. This is going to be the last game of the day, guys, and the sequence that these games were played were in order as well. So you could see as the MMR gets a little bit higher, the matchups are getting a little bit better. We got 2 discards at hand. That's looking proper. Okay. Gutting Slash versus Death Wish is not ideal. We have like the perfect discard package here, but again, one of those things where we don't have that proactivity, so another reason maybe to put that Raging Bear if you want.
That might even be amusing.
I was so tempted to go full Witchers with it, but we'll save that for another time. So I don't want to double discard off that, so we'll go ahead and chuck a bomb at it. Just because Burna would have killed it, gave us damage, you know, leader and whatever else, or even just a bomb, it doesn't make sense. Again, they put us in a little bit of an awkward situation here. I don't really want to move that either. So I'm thinking, okay, is there anything else I could play? We have location, that's a consideration. Because if they consume that, then it's free game, right? We get just focus on the tall unit that would have consumed that.
Maybe the pendulum. I'm much better at that.
Now, I don't mind doing 2 damage, because it's not obviously going to kill it. So, it's nice to get that discard out of the way, so if we want to pass on 7, we can. Location carryover in case they try and bleed. And we have a pretty significant lead, but I know I've played this a million times. If they can get bonded on the Selenial Harpies, we're actually in trouble, because then the points really come fast. So we got to get some good points on the board to kind of like put us in a more comfortable position here. There was consideration to even click location there just to get that 2 so we can tempo pass, but I think that would have given maybe them a way out of the round. So I think we're good here. I'm pretty comfortable passing with what we have. Because it'll put them in a spot where if they try and bleed us, then they're going to have to play probably 2 cards. So it's not going to be a really big push against us in round 2, I'm thinking. If they even play into round 2. Oh, Nero for a Harpy Egg. That's not enough. I'm not convinced. See, this is what I'm looking for, the mushy truffle. And now if they don't bleed us round 2, they lose that beautiful carryover. And it's still not enough points. If you want to get ahead in this turn, you got to use a leader here. So it's either going to be leader or play to 4. And see, it's a pretty good trade here. We got a leader charge out of the way. I value leader charges quite a bit when I'm playing as monsters. So Junnit's okay. Axie's really good here. Gutting Slash is okay, but I prefer the bomb because obviously Banish doesn't trigger the Death Wish. It just removes it completely from the game. If you guys didn't know that, it's something to know. All right. Scary, we don't have Heat Wave. Okay, looking back on this play right here, I was like looking to get dominance and put out something tall, but I costed myself a leader charge. What I would have done is simple. Just played the bomb and had that banished. And even second thought would have been Delirium, or not Delirium, yeah, Delirium. But the Northern Wind would have been the better play in that situation here. You see what I mean? And we played perfectly in a mana core, so that was like a really big mess up for me there. Not the proudest moment, but we'll include it regardless. Yeah, we just gave it to them. Wow. I don't know if we're going to be getting a much better Mork than that. There is consideration to Mork it because it puts us a point ahead of using an Axie. And sometimes these Death Wish decks have like a random K-Ran. So you have to be mindful of that as well. If they have a bunch of tall things, they can consume them all, get immunity, so you miss your perfect tall removal. So I like to not necessarily play them at the end in the monster matchup. And sure enough here, they're having a little bit of a challenge getting those points. We do have room to go ahead and remove something here. I think it's probably within our best interest to get rid of the Vargas because we want to make sure they don't have a lot of consumes left. You know, they probably still have a couple cards to proc it, but it's fine. That's an awkward spot to be in here. I can't actually remove that. If I Delirium back row, there's a chance, a small chance, but I'm willing to take a small chance than no chance. And it still puts us ahead for points. Now, because I didn't actually clip it, then it's one of those things where, okay, you know, I'm not going to go ahead and use the leader charge there. One thing I am a little bit worried about, though, is if they use their Mushy Truffle, get a Golden Froth, boost the rats on the front row, and renew that location a couple times, that would be really bad. So there is consideration to actually go with the Fuchsia into a Gerd and maybe take out that front row if they don't boost it on this turn. That's something to think about. The alternative play to that would be to go ahead and use the Northern Wind on the Weavis as soon as possible, because we want to make sure we get rid of that. I made a Death Wish deck recently with Weavis. However, it was when it was, I guess, bugged. It was showing us 12 provision, but they actually wanted it to be 10 provision, so they hot fixed it in the 9.6.1. I haven't done a Death Wish deck since then, simply because it's only been about a week, but I'll eventually get to that soon. Harpy Egg's not even a bad banish here either, but I don't know if we take. I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I'm more concerned about this row than I am about the Harpy Egg at this point, to be honest with you. Like, I know we're not going to get 2-0'd here. It's pretty comfortable. That's a long turn, man. Yeah, Baya's not crazy here. I was expecting a pass on the next turn. I'm pretty sure I used location here. I honestly could have waited. Yeah, I should have waited at least one more turn. I believe I click it. So we do have room to go ahead and take care of that before it becomes more of a problem. Again, pretty underwhelming on that. But either way, out of pass, we're still up. And we know that they're probably... I mean, you think they'd probably play one more turn here. Try and get 3 in a row and play the truffle at least, right? Yeah, it was definitely not a click on location that turn. I mean, I played like 7 games in an hour and a bit, so... bound to fumble here and there. In this case, though, Abaya has Thrive, and that's the only unit really doing a whole lot here, so I wanted to go ahead and get that, but sure enough, they had the K-Ran that I wasn't planning for. I knew it was a possibility, but I didn't think it was actually going to be played here.
Let's get this over with.
So at least we get something. And Quen down first so that we can actually just take that trial. But that should get the pass, right? At this point, they know they're not getting ahead. They're not 2-0-ing, I would imagine. What card would do it? And sure enough, we get the pass we're looking for. That's fine. That's fine. A couple hiccups along the way, but I think it would have panned out pretty well the same anyways, as far as how many cards we'd have to commit. And I'm just happy that we got out of the round with a card up. Both of the cards that we have in hand are good cards. I just want to draw into like that one more unit. I'm actually willing to look for Morgvarg here to play it from hand, because I want a unit we could play first so that we can get the damage off of the off of the Bear Witcher. So go ahead, just play that here, it's fine. And if they kill it somehow, well, it comes right back. So lesson learned from wasting leader charges last round. No nonsense, let's go take it out. Just trying to decide if I really want to use leader Bear Witcher or just use the trial, but the trial is the smarter play. And so I gotta respect the fact that they might have something on deploy that can consume that Dettlaff. I think the Dettlaff takes the Heat Wave, and then we can go and maybe just reset that token. 6-point reset, 11-point Axie, not bad. Yeah, sure enough. That'll actually remove the card just in case they have something to boost it or interact with it. I want to just remove it altogether at this point. And I think that should be enough to take the game.